ドクターガオーなんちゃって。
What is going on YouTube? This is the Last Musketeer, and welcome back to the Arknights free-to-play progression series. So we are on part 21, and I don't have a whole lot of clearing content in this one. It's going to be a mixture of a few different things that I was doing, but mainly I'm going to show you the pulls from the last couple of events, or basically last couple of banners. And I'm also going to show you a little bit of an IS run and some of the current chapter content that I've been working on. So these last couple of weeks have been very eventful, especially when it comes to the operators on the account. Excited to show some of the things that I pulled, and hopefully if you did decide to pull on the banners, you got lucky. I'm always rooting for you guys. Hopefully everything went smooth, but we're starting out with the Nymph banner. Now Nymph was one that I kind of got spur of the moment decided I wanted to go for. And at the same time, I realized that the next banner coming up was the most important one for my account personally. But I did end up getting Nymph pretty early. I think it was the 31st pull, so I could have just pulled a single tag and actually got her. It would have been nice to save up a little bit. But I immediately took her to E2. She's got a fantastic art. I really like it. And I have to say, as far as characters goes, her fear from her skill 2 is one of the most broken things I've ever experienced. Just permanently kiting some of the bosses or other things around the map that may be hard to deal with has just made it an absolute blessing. I love this character, and I'm so happy I pulled for this op. Now, I know there are going to be ones coming in the future that are going to be strong, potentially stronger DPS-wise than she is, but while I haven't necessarily got to personally test it other than one of these stages during the event, I know it's an insane combo, so I'm going to have to maybe get Virtuosa in the future, but for the moment, we'll just borrow when needed. Because honestly, I use the Fear more often than I use the Skill 3, so I'm just saying I'm a big fan of this operator. Very good choice on my part. Hopefully, most of you went for her as well. If you decided to skip, I get it. You know, there's a lot of good ops coming in the future that I'm probably going to have a hard time getting at this point. Hopefully I can clear a decent amount of content and save a decent amount up and decide exactly who I want to go for. I'm not going to get into spoilers on that. I know some people are against that. But during the Nymph event, this is going to be the last two challenge versions of the stages there. Just a quick showing of that, showing where I started in the start of this video. It is a couple of weeks time from the last time I posted. Time just flies by so quick, it seems like anymore. I didn't even realize it felt like it had been a week ago since I had last posted. But obviously, maybe I should pay a little more attention, get a little more content out. But going into the boss stage, I decided to borrow Wissalter because she is basically the one-stop shop for whatever you need. If it's damage-wise, if it's wave clear, whatever you need, she's got it in droves. So I'm basically setting up with Thorns, setting up with Blaze to handle the main brunt of the attacking forces here, and I have Pepe basically soloing the boss first phase down here. She's a fantastic option for that for me personally, and since I only need one block, it's a good place to put her. Gave her a little help with BP, a little help with Texalter for just a little tiny bit of burst damage, but it didn't really do too much. We're going to try to set up Wissalter to take out most of the other forces, and the second phase of the boss, she is going to be the main implement of that, because I did run it prior to that without borrowing Wiz, and he just ended up wiping the front line. More than likely though, I could have just used Nymph and she would have just feared him constantly, or used the skill 3 and probably done enough damage to take him out pretty quickly. Not really something I was too concerned with. Might as well use the options that you have. But I'm going to go ahead and let this one play out, and I'll be back in the next part. Alright, and with that out of the way, that is that event done. And we move on to the most important thing, the thing that I've been excited about for so long, Before I had stopped playing for that long, like, year gap or so, this was the character I was most looking forward to. I begged and begged to have some version of Swire be very good. Some new release, Swire Alter would have been fantastic, and they announced it. And unfortunately, with all the stuff going on, I wasn't able to play and be there for that. So I decided to go ahead and, even though I had pulled on Nymph, also pull on this banner, sink everything that I had into it if I have to. The first pull I got was pretty early on, and I got a Lynn dupe. Unfortunate. But when I saw the medal pop up here, I was like, well, this is second chance. Good chance that I get it, and unfortunately, it was not her. But I am happy with Logos. I will take Logos any day of the week. Fantastic operator. I'm going to have to save up to level him up now because I've got so many that I need to work on. And then a back-to-back pull, and it happened to be another one. Of course, not Swire Alter, so of course it would be in her nature to play hard to get, to not want to come home, but I was getting desperate at this point. I really wanted this op. I really needed this op. Those of you who have followed me, I've been a Swire fan since basically day one. Ever since I got her, I needed this, and at this point I'm getting desperate. 75 Arundum, 18 OP. I go back here, actually went into the shop and used some of my distinctions. I don't even have enough to use all of the distinctions to get all the pulls. I'm that desperate that I'm willing to sink in and kind of waste some of it just to hope to get this. Did more event farming, mainly on the side missions that I had, the stages I hadn't cleared yet, and went back in and pulled with the scraps that I had left. And this was basically an all-out pull, and she finally came home. Honestly, overall, a pretty good banner pull for me, just in general with all four of them. The Lynn dupe I could care less about, but the rest of them, pretty nice. You know, it's always good to get new operators, but this one I am ecstatic about. I ran around for a while. I was very happy. I cut out a lot of how long I sat there, probably a good minute of just being so grateful. Went in the Discord and spammed that I'd, finally pulled her. But it feels good, man. It feels good to come back at a perfect time, the event rerun, and just a little bit after that, being able to pull her on a banner. So with all the things going on, all the new ops that I'm pulling that I'm really wanting to work on, I'm running low on not only pulls, obviously nothing left there, but I'm also running low on resources that I've been saving up. My LMD stack is looking very, very low right now, but it's perfect timing to actually go in and finish a lot of the ISs that I never got to finish off. I have IS 1 completely cleared, all 155 I think is how many there was on there. The rest of them I do not have finished off, so I've got a lot of LMD, a lot of resources sitting there ready to get. But of course the E2 had to happen as soon as possible. Had to farm some stages, unlock some pieces, and my god, it's beautiful. It's well worth the wait. It's going directly on my home screen. The old Swire may make some appearances now and then. Of course I use her gal for the opening, but I absolutely love this, and I am kind of sad that I did miss on the skin that she got. Hopefully they'll run around with another one soon. An L2D would be fantastic, just saying. If anybody's watching this, let's get to work on something like that. That'd be cool. But all in all, very happy. Take her to 60 for the moment, and I'm going to start some of the masteries, but we're going to get into some of the stages for the chapters I'm clearing. So starting at 13.2, I'm not going to show a lot of these. I'm going to skip around to some of the more notable ones, but this is where I started on this videos. So 13.2 brings back the artillery, and I'm not too worried about that. Obviously, I have Mudrock. Mudrock is the GOAT when it comes to dealing with this. Just brushes it off like it's nothing. Absolutely fantastic at holding most of these lanes as well. And then I have everybody else just clearing stuff as fast as possible. Now, one thing I did have to be wary of is that with as many of these that come out, it is hard to clear them in time, and it just keeps ticking closer and closer to the artillery going off. But I do get them out thanks to Pepe just in time, literally right as it swaps. Couldn't have been more frame perfect, but it might have been a better idea for me to use more just burst AoE type operators for this, because with the amount of increased health they have, it took a long time to get them out. But S3 on Nymph does pretty well, hitting 2 at a time, doing good damage. And then of course Pepe with the area damage constantly is fantastic. She hits really hard, and I don't have a lot of mastery points yet in there. I think I have maybe 2 in the S3. I'm not sure at this point in the vid, but I also have 1 point in the second skill. The second skill I'll probably max first because I do really like it. I've been using it a lot in IS as well. It's pretty fantastic, especially when you have quicker SP regen there. Moving on to 13.5, skipping a couple of stages. This one's basically the artillery charges a lot faster thanks to some of the enemies. Now this one is another one where Mudrock just makes everything so simple. I built up as much DP as I possibly could before Cantabile gets nuked there, let Myrtle survive, and then I'm going to set up a little my defenses since I've got a little bit of time left, and then once Mudrock's out, it's basically smooth sailing from there. The bottom right corner was a bit of a problem because the guys with the delayed burst do a lot of damage, and of course the invis turrets that I have floating around here were a bit of a problem for some of my squishier units, because as you see, they take out Perfumer, they basically take out Nymph, and then worked Sus down as well. But of course Mudrock is still slinging at the bottom, still going in. I of course have Saria that I can use for heals, so I'm not too worried in that aspect. Anybody getting too low for my tankier units here are going to be just fine. I throw Cantabile down just for a little bit of help, a little bit of extra DP gen here to help take some pressure off of Mudrock's back there. Tex Altar, once again, I gotta make sure Mudrock stays alive, so the main focus was to hot drop anything that I needed to just to guarantee her survival, and once that's done, this map is over. Just gotta wait for him to tick down here. And going on to 13.6, Touches of the Sanguinarch have increased HP, and Bloodborne spawns have increased attack speed. Now those things were a bit annoying, but I did end up borrowing logos for this. I think it was the first run of this one, but I didn't want to deal with all these spawns coming in, so I knew with Logos' Execute this would be a very, very easy stage. He is a fantastic operator. That skill 1, once it is in the unlimited duration and you get that Execute, it is so good. Absolutely fantastic caster. Probably currently my favorite one. And now that I have Nymph as well, it is a pretty nasty combo. If I need to keep somebody feared in his skill, then it is basically something that I can do permanently. Now, once again, Virtuoso is the one that I really need to make both of these guys basically pop off. But with the fact that I picked up Logos as well after the Nymph pull, I'm basically going to be set as far as casters. I just got to work everybody up, and then I'll start borrowing Virtuoso just so I can test out some boss killing with that. But with this stage completed, we're going to head on over to my IS5 run. So this is the second boss. Those of you who have done it, well, you probably know how annoying it is. I ran this a few times. This is my first time on my account, but I ran it a few times on a different account, a much stronger account, and I wasn't able to do it. But I kind of mapped out a strategy of what I wanted to try when I got to this point and what kind of collectibles I was looking for. So the main thing is I've got some hot drop units just for extra DPS. Yaldo Altar, if he was E2, it would have been a little bit of a faster clear, but this one works out fine. I borrowed Wiz Altar basically because she makes the build up extremely easy, and of course for the boss stage here, she's extremely good for holding left side or extra damage on him if you need. So the strat was basically have her on this bottom left corner, and she's going to take out the ones that come from the left side top. I have Nymph down here. Nymph is not going to stay all that long because she's E1. She's not going to be able to do too much. So what I'm basically doing here is I'm going to use her to kite the boss a little bit, pump some damage into him, and the main thing is to start setting up my main DPS units, my main hold units. So with Wizalter down there, Nymph fearing him and pushing him back constantly. I thought about setting up Pepe, but I decided it was best not to risk her getting hurt, breaking the shield, because I have medicine sticks, and what they do basically, it's a collectible that when you deploy a unit, they get 2 layers of shield. So that's going to help keep her alive a little bit later on, because the only way she's going to take damage is from when the boss does the burst after the build up. So that's going to keep her alive for quite a while. Of course, building up thorns early on is very important, making sure that he has his unlimited duration on during the second phase. Like I said, Nymph skill, absolutely fantastic, forever kited down this point until he starts to summon more units and I have to spread the fear. The chances of it hitting him will become a lot more slim, but it is great here. So once he gets to half, he starts summoning these guys. I forget what they're called. He does also take out Nymph, so I don't have the protection of the fear here anymore. So basically what I'm going to do is just try to spam some hot drop units, Tex Altar being the main one, Yellow Altar when I need, and then also sacrifice Gravel here to take out one of these guys so they don't eat Thorns. Cora, another one that I don't need for this. And then I'm going to drop Perfumer to make sure that Thorn stays alive. Once he takes out these two, I'm basically going to hot drop units and take out the last of the first phase. Now this is the one that I've been having a hard time with. So at this point I'm going to set up Pepe. She starts with a decent amount of SP and gets SP back quickly because I have a 0.5 per second regen collectible. And I'm going to spam skill 2 on her just to build up that attack speed and get a lot of clear potential and a lot of extra damage on him. So that's not only going to help take out the boss, it's going to kind of clear the guys that are walking down, because while Thorns is able to hold almost by himself, sometimes they get very, very close and you got to be very careful that he doesn't get eaten, because I would have lost immediately after that. There's no way I would have kept the damage up. So once again, we're just spamming everything we have. Nymph on the right side here, spamming the fears, getting that extra burst damage in there. Wish he was E2. At this point, it would have been much easier on me. Myrtle, I'm keeping alive over there for the moment in case I need to pop something when I'm doing these hot drops, but at the moment I have a full unit limit, so basically I'm just going to not worry too much when people go out. With this open now, I can just keep spamming and spamming and spamming, and that is basically the strat. W Altar is going to clear anything up that is coming down the left side, like I said. Anything that leaks on the far left side with Myrtle, perfectly fine. I'm not worried about that. I've got plenty of DP, so when she inevitably gets taken out, I'm not too concerned about it. Now, he does constantly keep spawning these guys that eat your ground units. A couple of decent lane holders and you'll be just fine here. If you have Virtuosa and Nymph both using skill 3, I believe Virtuosa is a skill 3 as well, it makes for absolutely nutty DPS and probably would take that boss out pretty quick. Any other units walking down there as well. So it would probably make it easier on you if you have those two available. But W Walter is just going to keep that lane frozen. And there's no more other units coming out. It's just the ones from the mid now that I have to worry about. So I'm not going to really leak anything else. Anytime you have plenty of good holders, plenty of good heal, and if you have a lot of defense, a lot of dodge as well, fantastic. I think I procced dodges probably multiple times in this. Otherwise, I think people would have got taken out. Perfumer also. E2 Perfumer is an absolute goat when it comes to keeping everybody alive, because when I'd activate her skill, and I wasn't even using it on the skill 2 version of it, I was just using the skill 1, but with a 20% healing effectiveness collectible, along with the fact that the overtime healing is already pretty good, it just made it so much easier to keep everybody alive, and that is basically it. Doesn't look too crazy, but I will say I've had stronger lineups and they lost. I think it really comes down to the collectibles, and just hoping that you get lucky enough that everything goes smoothly. So show a quick look at what my squad looked like for that. A brief glimpse of the collectibles. Nothing really that crazy, just basically some SP regen that was fantastic for it. A little bit of damage here and there, but nothing like attack speed. I had very little attack speed boost. Would have helped me so much more if I'd had something decent like coin-operated toy, for example. But moving back into the chapter stages, this is 13-7. And of course I'm doing all these on adverse. Why go back and do it again when I can do it the first time? It should be no problem handling that. So we're going to just burst out a bunch of DP as fast as possible. My main idea here is just have a decent hold like Blaze, and then have BP kind of push the cart, push the bomb towards that side as fast as possible. throw thorns down facing up so he can get some damage, and he can also push the cart the rest of the way, and that's basically going to clear this stage. It was pretty easy, but I do like this mechanic, having to kind of watch where you're placing everything. I haven't got too far into this part of the chapter, just to test everything out. I'm sure it gets pretty hard, but for the most part, most of the stages were pretty easy. But I did notice some of the ones later on having to destroy certain ones that would block the carts. There's going to be a big priority, making sure you set up everything in the right spot. But that one, pretty cut and dry, pretty simple. This one, it is 12 tiles are no longer available for deployment. Once again, these are not a problem. If you haven't done the map in the first place, you don't know what's going to be missing anyway. Good news is that I do have BP on my squad though, because otherwise I'm going to have to reset here just to pull somebody that could have reached it. But I will set up BP on the right side to push the bomb forward, and then Nymph behind her, pushing to the left to push it the rest of the way. Thorns, if needed, can push it a little bit further into that spot. Pretty easy though. This map was pretty straightforward. Everything's coming from one direction. As long as you have good holders, good healing, you're perfectly fine. And one thing I am lacking for sure is single target healing. Cicero is basically my best one. I also use the regular Gabriel as it for some of the other stuff. It just depends on what the map looks like. But Cicero, with her ability, with that insane attack speed buff, basically my go-to option for any single target healing, or if I need a little bit of burst here and there. We'll work up one eventually, probably going to do Reed, more than likely, just so I can have that extra DPS. And I know she is fantastic for certain options. I haven't got to use her that much. Personally, I don't think I've borrowed her that much either. But speaking of borrowing, Ken, if you were watching at this point, I meant to put Ascalon in the video at some point, and I realize now, as I'm almost done editing this and talking over this, that I did not actually do that. So, yeah, I apologize, but it did dawn on me now. I did think about it. I'll try to showcase her in the next one, I guess. I did, I think, use her in IS5 for one of the runs. I think I borrowed just because I wanted to try something new out. And she was pretty cool, but I never got to E2 her, so I don't exactly know what she does. So we'll do a little showcase on that later on. But for this one, this is when I first run into the guys that block the bomb, and lower your attack speed the more you attack. So I figured the best option here would be use Tex Alter, not S2, but S3, so that she's getting the constant drop every couple of seconds for that area damage, and that one will not be slowed down. So maybe it is the best option, maybe it's not, I don't know. Nymph, great for pushing the bomb because of the double targeting. And then from here, I'm basically just going to wipe the rest of them. Big guys, they hit hard, and that's fine. I'm not too worried about that. We get this one done pretty easy. But while this stage is running its course, I'm going to talk for a second about something that happened earlier today. So we got some like crazy weather change. It was maybe 60 degrees outside, and then a couple hours later it's about 27 degrees. Everything's icing over because it's been raining, and I'm heading home from work, and I'm about to cross the bridge, and I fishtail for about 10 seconds, and I honestly thought, well, it's been fun. You know, I kind of, my brain, you know, I kept calm. I'm calm in the situation. I've driven on ice before, but I've never fishtailed that bad on ice. I just could not recover. It would not go back, and I'm just slowly like floating towards the edge of the bridge, and I float back, and then I'm floating back again, and my brain was just the whole time thinking, you know what? If it happens, it happens. It's it's out of my hands at this point, but I got it corrected. We're good. I'm safe. Just stay safe out there, guys. If you're getting any bad weather right now, be careful. But going into showing some of my lineups, I go ahead and put Swire Alter at 69. Very nice. That is the goal that I do for most of them. Anytime I get a new op that I'm E2ing, I generally try to take them to 69 at least. Fantastic spot for not too pricey, and they get a good boost to stats. Some of them stick at 60, but of course modules are the main goal there, so getting them to 60 is fine. Of course, there are a lot of ops that I need to get up, Logos being the one that I'm working on probably next, I think, potentially. There could be changes here and there, but Locust is one I'm eyeing for sure. Blim and Shine honestly wouldn't be one that would be bad to take up next. I do have good options though, but having an Arch Damage Dealer would be pretty good, honestly, for a defender type. But I really got to look around and see what I want to do. I don't know what I'm going to be able to pull on next, because like I said, I'm working with scraps at this point. But I do have a lot of IS stuff to make up for. I've only finished the first one. I've got a lot of runs to do, especially on 3. 3 is pretty easy, in all honesty. Oh, and I realize now I've been calling it IS5 and not 4. Probably because talks recently of the newest one. But either way, that's going to do it for me, guys. I don't have too much more to say on this. But like I said, stay safe out there. Have a good one. And I hope to see you in the next one. Peace.